what type of skills we see emerge, when and how we see those emerge. Okay. So, one of the ones that's hugely influential, and we don't always realize that it's happening, are the attitudes of the people around us to our moving. Right? So what are the social values for the group that you're in? What are the norms for behavior? What's the norm? What's the typical behavior? What are the ideals for behaviors? So some of these encourage certain behaviors from certain people, some of them discourage certain behaviors. So what are the culturally specific ideas, concepts about behaviors? So if I grow up in America, in most of America, am I going to try sumo wrestling? Right? No. Unless there's a particular group, a group of Japanese descendants who are introducing that to their children. Most of you in this country are not going to come across sumo. Same as cricket. Most of you are not going to get the opportunity to play cricket. Those are culturally specific sports that aren't played in this country. So you don't develop those movement patterns. The society that you're in could be your family, right? Your social group might be your family, could be the town that you live in, could be your peer group. And elements of sociocultural constraints, things like gender, race, religion, right? All of these are sociocultural constraints that impact movement. So attitudes, values that influence behaviors of individuals within the group. So typically pervasive, it's not a deliberate attempt to hold someone back or encourage one person over another. It's just what we do. Right? That's just how things are done. So it's pervasive, it's part of your belief system, even though you don't really realize why you believe that idea. And they can therefore create atmospheres where it's socially acceptable to do a particular thing, or where it might be unacceptable to pick a particular movement activity. Right? What's not acceptable to your family for you to do, right? Even if it isn't verbally distinguished, you know they wouldn't approve if you tried this out. Right? Riding a motorbike. My father would kill me if I rode a motorbike. Still, he would kill me if I rode a motorbike. I never got to do that, and I would have loved to have done, right? So they play a large role in the motor behaviors that are adopted and learned by individuals. Also influences the choices that are made, because particularly when we're young, we don't always get to make the choice. Right? If I want to do gymnastics, someone has to pay club fees for me to go to a club. Someone has to drive me, because it sure as heck will not be in walking distance from the house, right? So all these other things, even if I want to try it, I may not be able to try it because my family aren't prepared or aren't able to allow me to try that skill. So, what are our ideas, what are our concepts that play a role in how we develop our place in society, right? The first one is socializing agents. So socializing agents are one of the factors, influential people, significant others that influence where I fit, how I feel I fit in society. Social situations. So the places where socialization takes place. That can be school, it could be the recreation centre, it might be the park in a particular environment, it could be at home. Where are the places where we take part in socialization? The games that we play at home or at the park. And then the third one, personal attributes. What are my individual constraints that impact how I see myself in society? So, my strength, my skill, my motivation, my perceived ability at something. So in our field, we're looking at perceived motor competence, right? If I don't think I'm very good, does it matter whether I am quite good? Right? The research would say no. So my perception of my ability to move impacts how I see myself fit on the basketball team at school. Right? Even if I catch every ball they throw to me, I don't think I'm very good, and that impacts how I feel I fit in the team. Okay. So, as a teacher, how can I use that? I need to make sure that they get more success and less failure to try to change how they perceive their role within that society, right? Within that group. So, people and situations can influence the choices or the movements that you see people do. Okay. Just done that one. So, one of these ideas is gender typing. And it's going to be, I think, given the current environment and the amount of media that transgender individuals are getting as a group, I suspect that this piece of literature, this bulk of research, is going to change quite a lot over the course of your working life. So, because they will start to try to run research projects with now a new gender group. New. Are they more socially acceptable? How does that change what sports they pick? There's not a lot of information about transgender athletes in the competitive world. What do? I remember ages and ages and ages ago, long time ago, there was a transgender athlete and there was all kinds of argument about allowing her to play on the women's circuit. Because all the girls on the circuit said, well, that's not fair, she's stronger than us, she's taller than us, she's going to beat us. Well, she never won Wimbledon, or the US Open, or the Australian, or the French. So, to my knowledge, the fact that she was transgender did not mean she beat everybody. Because there's more to playing the game than that, right? So I suspect that you're going to see a lot of research, a lot of literature on this group that will change some of what we know now. Got to make sure you're using the right term, okay? And that gets very muddled when you look at the media. They often use the wrong term, okay? Sex means you are biologically male or female. Gender is a social role, right? What are my characteristics as defined by my society? So, the most famous right now, obviously, is Bruce Jenner, right? He identifies himself as feminine, but his sex is male, right? So, you've got to be a little careful with that terminology. What are we going to do as PE teachers? One of my grad students right now has a really interesting question about what are the NCAA going to do when marijuana is legal in a state, but the NCAA don't allow marijuana use, but it's legal. I can walk into a shop and buy it. So how are they going to test for that? What guidelines are they going to get? Well, it's going to get even more confusing once we start looking at sex and gender in physical activity. When you do sport law, they'll talk to you about this a lot. Because what are you going to do if you have a transgender athlete on your team and they do not want to change? Right? I have a transgender female who does not want to get changed in the men's locker room. Right? It's complicated. It's complicated, right? She doesn't want to get changed in the men's locker room. If you haven't educated your female athletes, they don't want her in their locker room. What is she supposed to do? Give up playing sport? Give up coming to PE? Is that what we're going to put forward as PE people, as health people? Oh, you just get to give up? Or come to PE in your regular clothes? What are we going to do? Right? It is going to be a real mess for you guys when you go out to work, I can promise. It's going to take several years to clean this up so that we have real guidelines that are appropriate. What's appropriate for this population? We don't know. We don't have any information about them, right? Other than blown up media hype about what they look like when they go from winning an Olympic gold medal to wearing a little short black leather miniskirt. Well, that's interesting but not helpful when I'm in the PE room. The good thing about Bruce Jenner, and there are several actresses out there right now, is that it will allow people who don't feel comfortable to feel more confident about speaking up about that. That can only be a good thing, I think. Where it's going to go, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So, when you look at this, right, is this acceptable or not acceptable to you based on the role and the rules that are in your society or that you feel you've learned, right? Even if you didn't learn them deliberately, what's right and wrong here, right? Right? So, jazz dancer, male. Okay or not okay? Football player.
Female? Okay.
Oh, don't want to go back there yet. Bodybuilder. Fitness athlete.
Yep.
Ballerina. Ballerina. Jazz dancer. Football player. Okay. What's okay? What's not okay? Why do you have the response you have to the pictures? That's the question, right?
Are you asking us? Do you want answers? Is
Yeah,
there a
go on.
general question?
Why not?
Well, I have a problem with the first picture because I don't think that that's healthy. That's not-
That actually isn't. She clearly did a lot of things she shouldn't have done to achieve that body. So I agree with that.
And although it's against the norm, I mean, if that guy wants to be a ballerina, then do it.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with
Right.
It's not changing my.
When you have children, will you let your son go to ballet classes?
that. No.
See what I mean? Right? Why? Ballet dancers, okay, here's an interesting piece of physiological data. Ballet dancers, if you test out ballet dancers compared to athletes on strength, flexibility, they test out above almost every other group of athletes you can find. They are stronger and more flexible than basketball players. They are stronger and more flexible than football players. They test out above everybody, and yet you're not going to let your boy do that.
No. I'd probably do some yoga lessons or something to get a little older.
Right, right. So these are ideas that are ingrained because of our culture, not because of whether or not he's capable of doing dance. Right? Is it okay for him to go to line dancing? If he wants to go line dancing.
He's
Or
not
tap.
gonna do that.
Well, why is he not going to want to do that?
It's from a young age.
Because you're going to make sure he doesn't want to. Do you see what? So our social atmosphere impacts what is and is not okay for our children to choose to do. Right? That's the point. Start to pay attention to why they're not doing certain things. Is it always because they didn't want to, or is it because I corralled them into thinking they didn't want to? And why would I do that? Right? Because it's what we're comfortable with, right? It's uncomfortable thinking about why we wouldn't let our girls play football. Why is there such an uproar about women's football teams?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with
No, there isn't. I wouldn't do it personally, because I don't want anyone to hit me that hard, but some girls, right? Girls weren't allowed to run marathons until 1972. Marathons were in the Olympics by 1924 or whatever year the Olympics were in the 20s. So it was 50 plus years before women were allowed to run a marathon.
Why?
Why? Because men were in charge and women shouldn't run because it jiggles all their parts and then they're not going to get out babies. I don't know.
So stupid.
Right? Because socially it wasn't acceptable for women to run a marathon. So, we often encourage our children to take part in what we believe are gender appropriate activities for them. Boys are encouraged to play football. They might be encouraged to take part in wrestling. We may or may not encourage them to go take ballet classes or gymnastics. Girls are encouraged to do gymnastics, figure skating, discouraged from playing basketball and other sports. Right? We're getting better because now we've got Title IX, that helped a lot. We've got television that is making, for the first time, we get to see women's volleyball on telly or women's softball on telly. It's only been a few years that you've been able to turn that TV on and find women's team games on. We only see the Women's Soccer World Cup because the American women won, right? You never saw the World Cup on telly until they won. You didn't see them win the first time they won because it wasn't on the telly. Because women don't play soccer. Right? So think, yes ma'am?
I'm gonna rewind. You mentioned Title IX. Title IX also protect like the transgender people.
I think
for race and ethnicity or female.
It's any underrepresented group. So I think it will. It's just how are we going to use it? Because it's going to mean that either you tell your female athletes that person can change in their room, or you are going to have to create another locker room for one person. Is that financially viable in your school?
Just go to the bathroom.
Why should they? You don't make any of your other athletes go to the bathroom to get changed.
She feels uncomfortable.
But she has a right to go and use the locker room.
Can you say that would be a form of hazing in a way? If you're separating them from the whole team?
You're getting outside of my area. Have this conversation with Dr. Bogdanov. It's going to be complicated. That's the most, that's where my knowledge really is going to stop is it's going to be messy for a while. I think until we have some really clear guidelines about what we can and can't do and where is the funding coming from in order to do that.
I think he or she, each time this person, should change where their sex tells them to change. And if they're comfortable with that, then they cannot be uncomfortable if I ask them to change in a restroom.
It's a well-argued position. I don't have I can't argue, I don't agree with you, but I can't argue what you're saying. I think that's what it's going to get messy. I think as an individual they have a right to feel comfortable and get changed in the same facility as someone else and not go and get changed in the bathroom. What if they want to shower?
They say everyone leaves.
Can't ask them to do that.
But they can't wait till everybody leaves because they've got to be in class with everybody else in 5 minutes. Do you see? I mean, it's not going to be simple. It's going to be make someone else deal with it. So let me see, where am I going? Oh no, I'll go back here. All right, so what about colors and choice of toys? So, is that a girl's bedroom or a boy's bedroom? Why?
Colors.
Why can't a boy have a pink bedroom? Right? So it's interesting. This one, let's see if we've got one that's more neutral.
See, but I think a girl can have any color and or mine or a guy with like that could be a neutral gender. Like a guy with like a pink or purple room, I don't know. But a girl
It's like a guy wearing a shirt.
I think guys who wear pink or purple shirts look very cool.
tough.
Toys are another interesting one, right? If you go to Walmart and you look at the toys. Okay. So if there is a fire truck, what child is on the box for the fire truck? If there's an ironing board, who's on the box for the ironing board? The grandma. The girl, right? Well, here's an interesting question then, because girls actually have evolved way better than guys, because most of our clothing now, we're a bit smart, right? We don't buy clothes that need ironing very often. My partner wears an iron shirt to work every day, a clean iron shirt. Every weekend he has to iron 5 shirts to wear to work. I ain't ironing them for him. I don't use it. A, they look like crap because I'm not very good at ironing. B, I ain't doing it anyway, even if I was good at it. So why would the girl need the ironing board as a toy? Seems to me the boys need the ironing board as a toy, because they're the ones that need to start practicing ironing, because they're the ones that are going to have clothes that need to iron. That's why there are cleaners. Absolutely, we've got an entire population of people we have to give jobs to, right? You see what I mean? So we stereotype without meaning to. Walmart redid their toy shelves 2 summers ago now, a year and a half ago. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit on that room situation. I
Uh-huh.
feel like as a female, they can have any type of color room and it'd be fine, but as a male, you look in and have a pink or a purple room, stuff goes to your head, like,
Isn't that weird though, that it's okay for the girl to have a dark grey with black curtains? It's okay for the girl to be a goth.
I mean, she crazy.
You can do that, but you can still make it look feminine. Like, you can still have some things in there that are going to tell you that it's a girl's room.
Why can't the guy have a purple room and put things in there that are masculine?
Yeah, he can.
It's
My friend got a purple one. He a Laker fan. He got a purple and yellow. Like,
Aha!
But that's.
But you're right. I mean, the observation
sports
is
team,
correct.
Like, sports stuff, I understand that, but just a normal, like, you have nothing on the wall, that it's just purple, you have purple.
that light purple is what do it. You can have dark purple.
He's got pink and purple on. No
You gotta
one's
say
saying
that.
he's
Look
a...
at that, I'm talking about, like,
That light purple is what do it though. The dark purple is cool. The purple actually my favorite color.
But it's interesting, like, why do we feel like... And the problem is that these beliefs, these feelings that we have, impact the choices that we encourage our children to make in business. So we don't allow certain children to try certain types of movement. Instead of letting everybody experience everything and then pick the thing they want to do, we go, no, you get this, this, and this choice, and you get this, this, and this choice. That's interesting to me as a developmental person, because I wouldn't want my 14-year-old daughter playing football on the boys' team, I have to say. That would make me uncomfortable, not because she's a girl playing with boys, but because 14-year-old boys are mean.
but what if she's just as good?
And she's going to get hurt.
But what if she's just as good as they were better? You still don't want her playing?
If she can play and not get hurt, yeah, if she can outrun them.
I wouldn't want my daughter around 11 boys. I'm sorry. This is not.
Ah.
Nah.
You would have to do a very good job on your sex education at home, I should think, if she was the only girl on the team.
That won't save you.
We had a girl and she wasn't allowed to do some of the drills because I guess they didn't want her being sexually harassed, like if we did tackling drills or something, she didn't do them. Because
That's
you
something.
grab certain places when you tackle and that.
But that's part of the game. See, that's weird. Like, that's part of the game. If she volunteers to play the game, she knows she's going to get.
That's what I'm saying.
It's odd the way that we have made some things okay and some things not okay.
I believe a girl could be like a kicker or a punter or something like that. Like she can kick. I think I've seen that on the news before.
But
Like,
that's a brother case.
yeah. Yeah, she kicks field goals.
I
That's,
think it's like college girl kick.
yeah, I seen that on
Yeah,
that.
she
But
was
what if she
bald.
wants to be
What if she's stronger than
the
some of the guys?
Yeah. What if she wants to be on the defensive line? There you go.
I mean, that's cool, but when something bad happens, then she can't go pro.
I mean, if she's gonna get hurt, that's like on her. 'Cause She wants to play that position. Like,
Yeah,
she
like she
knows,
would
she
know.
knows what's going to happen. Yeah. Like, you can't say that you can't hit her as hard. Because she
It's part of
knows,
the
she
game.
knows what yeah, it's part of the game.
It, like, she knows that her parents know what they're getting into. So it's obvious that if she gets hit hard and she pops her down, that's perfect.
Is that
She gets hard, but she can also have to
when she get hurt?
a guy.
I wouldn't feel comfortable with her playing. I would be okay with my 10-year-old playing soccer with a group of boys.
That's
At
easy to-
10, they're all the
That's easy to
same.
say. That's easy to say, but until somebody see on TV when the girl get blindsided by they gonna think that's what they gonna think he
All right, so food for thought for the weekend then. Keep your eyes open as you're shopping. Keep your eyes open when you're watching the television. What role models do we unconsciously, right? Is there a football game on this weekend?
Always.
Right. So, what is the role model that we feed the boys versus the role model that we feed the girls? Alright? So just be open to it. It's interesting. It's good to challenge why you feel the way you do about something. Oh, yeah, question. Well done. Alright, so. Name one of the three elements. That are involved in learning your social role. If you did bonus stuff, make sure you give me that before you leave. Thank you.
What's the question again?
Thank you.